Chosen, the riddle of Jewish destiny. As the days move forward, the most solemn day of the year in the Jewish calendar, the 9th day of the Hebrew month of Av, comes closer. Tisha B'Av is approaching. The 3-week period of mourning that began with the fast of the 17th of Tammuz, Yud Zayin B'Tammuz, silently builds towards a crescendo. From the setting of the sun this Monday night until the stars appear on Tuesday night, Jews the world over will fast and mourn, commemorating and reliving the destruction of both the first and second commonwealths and the temples that stood at their epicenter. But notwithstanding the centrality of these two calamities in Jewish history, it is not only for them that we grieve on the fast of the 9th of Av. We remember as well many other tragedies that befell our people on this day. After the exodus from Egypt, it was on the 9th of Av, according to tradition, that the Israelites rebelled against God's plan to bring them into the land of Israel, as a result of which it was decreed that they wander 40 years in the desert before entering the land. And 60 years after the destruction of the Second Temple, the Bar Kokhba rebellion was squelched on this very day, the 9th of Av, setting in motion the processes that brought about our almost 2,000-year exile from our homeland. And it was on the 9th of Av, the very 9th of Av, that in the year 1492, Ferdinand and Isabella expelled the Jews from Spain, thereby putting an end to the golden age of Spanish Jewry. The day is so packed with pain and charged with suffering that even calamities that did not occur on this day, the 9th of Av, are resurrected in our consciousness and are lamented in the dirges that echo in our synagogues during the fast. The carnage of the Crusades, the Chmelnytsky massacres, the pogroms in the Russian Pale of Settlement. Although most Jewish communities have set aside a separate day to grieve over the Holocaust, the Shoah, in some synagogues, the memory of the 6 million melds into the pain of all these other catastrophes. So much anguish, so much suffering. Where else is there a people on the face of the earth that has suffered so much? It is beyond belief that such a small nation as ours has been as persecuted and as hounded as we have been. It is incomprehensible that we have gone through what we've gone through, and it's doubly incomprehensible that we have survived it all and have risen again and again like a sphinx from the ashes. In the Passover Haggadah Shel Pesach, we recall that Egyptian slavery and the exodus from Egypt are not to be seen only as isolated incidents. And I'll read what it says there. For not just one enemy has stood against us to wipe us out, but rather in every generation there have been those who have stood against us to wipe us out. And the Holy One, blessed be He, continually saves us from their hands. Lo achad bilvad omdim aleinu lachalotenu, ela b'chol dor v'dor omdim aleinu lachalotenu, v'kadosh baruch hu matzilenu miyadam. This statement is preceded by the declaration. This is in the Haggadah. That, and I quote, "This promise has stood for our ancestors and for ourselves," end quote, referring to the promise pronounced in the book of Genesis, in which God tells our forefather Abraham, that his seed shall be slaves in Egypt, and that afterwards shall be brought out to freedom. Clearly, this prophecy to Avram is understood as presenting a paradigm for all generations. But I've always wondered, what is the promise that has been fulfilled again and again in Jewish history? Is it simply the salvation that we've repeatedly experienced, or is it perhaps that the suffering itself is also part of the promise. Yes, thank God, the Jewish people is still alive and well. We've experienced repeated salvation. We have managed to survive, but survival, of course, implies the threat of destruction. And it appears as if these threats to our survival are as much a part of our collective DNA, our Jewish DNA, perhaps we should say part of the DNA of the entire world, as is our ability to withstand them. Our fate has never been like that of other nations. Jewish existence has always been a precarious one. Stability is never guaranteed. Life-threatening challenges are always on the horizon. The present is no different from the past. World anti-Semitism and anti-Israelism, Iran's nuclear threat to annihilate the state of Israel, it's all nothing new. And now, the missiles raining down upon us from Gaza, the terror tunnels under our southern border, and the terrorists swarming through them to attack innocent men, women, and children. And the world's reaction that condemns us for our efforts to defend ourselves against bloodthirsty terror aimed at our destruction. Might it not all be part of an inexplicable pattern that goes back to the dawn of our history? I can't explain it. But as terrible as it is, it only adds to my conviction that there's something ineffable about the Jewish destiny, something that defies the odds and normal patterns of history. Who can avoid the conclusion that we have been singled out by a force greater than it all? The 9th of Av is a gut-wrenchingly difficult day, but it has its rewards. Paradoxically, it is a day that paints a broad tapestry of Jewish history, reminding us of how utterly unique our fate upon this planet has been, and thereby strengthening our conviction there's something special about us. The Jewish people are a people that dwells alone, and there is something surely divine, something chosen about us, something. May it only be that this fast of the 9th of Av, Tisha B'Av, and the trials and tribulations we are presently suffering, that they bring each of us face to face with the riddle of Jewish destiny. May we all be inspired to embrace that destiny, to delve deeper into its meaning for our lives. Thank you. May God be with us.